What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from Zoom again, and this time we return with Henry of the Almighty Hammerhead. It is great to be able to talk with you. Thanks for coming back, man.
You too. Anytime. Thank you.
Yeah, it's so awesome to have you back onto the show. Our last interview, did really, really well, and we didn't really get to talk too much about what the future had in store. But now we got the brand new album, nonetheless, out. So, how was the
Yep.
overall experience with the making of this album? How did this album sort of see the light of day, and how would you say it differed from the making of Essence of Iron and Grand Currents, etc.?
This one was different in the usual ways. We feel like it's a step up in every aspect of the song structure and the riffs and the vocals. Everything's 10% better than it was on Grand Currents. As far as the making of it, it took a little while longer, just from the first sessions, first song writing to release. Just because this is the first album we did a true by the book release, and we did a few shows to hype it up, and we're gonna do shows this summer, and it's kind of like our first real one, so it took a little longer, but it'll go quicker in the future. The next one will be quicker for sure.
Hell yeah, thank God. But
Yeah.
being that it did take a bit of a long time, are what we hearing on this album how these songs were originally structured and originally arranged in a way, or did these songs maybe like change a lot in its structure and its sound over a span of time?
um it they were all like within a span of 8 months. I'd say they were all done, but like most of the songs went through like heavy changes before the studio. Obviously, once it's all tracked, which was January of 2022, you can't really change much, and then it's on to vocals and post production. But that's kind of the thing, is it was they were those songs were recorded in our minds so long ago that it's I think the jump from Grand Currents to nonetheless was significant, but the jump from nonetheless to the next one, the one that'll happen in the next year or so, that'll be a lot bigger.
Mm. Would you feel that nonetheless was almost kind of the sound of Hammerhead, like in a way finding yourselves and kind of like you sort of found the sound that you want to sort of stick with in the future, or do you maybe plan to experiment with your sound a little bit further?
um we plan to experiment for sure, but it's not like we go into writing sessions saying that. It's just kind of the natural evolution of what we like. We just write what we like, and what we liked at the time of nonetheless was exactly what's on the album, and what we like now is a little different, and that's what's going to happen on the next album. And I'd say all of the elements of the core elements of Hammerhead will still be there forever, but every album will sound a little different.
And you in a way kind of answered this, but they're really you don't try to enter the making of a new album with a main preconceived vision in a way. You kind of allow things to sort of fall into place on their own and kind of let the song breathe in a way.
Yep. We've tried. We've like maybe that'll change in the future, but we've tried to preconceive. Oh, we want a faster song here, or we want this kind of a longer song here, and it always turns out like shit. It always like comes out like, that felt completely forced. And everything that's made it on the album so far is just the stuff that stuck with us in the original jam sessions, and we have expanded upon since then. That's pretty much how the writing process goes.
You don't want to be they say the helicopter parent. You don't want to be the helicopter songwriter in a way as well.
Exactly. Yep.
I love having this conversation with bands when because a lot of times when I ask how the making of a record was, they would say, "Oh, we all collectively came together. It was all mutual in agreement." But I don't necessarily believe it all the time, because you're in a band with 3 to 4, 5. If you're in Slipknot, 9 people in a way. You're writing, between 10 and 12 songs for a full length album. In your case, it was 11 songs. So there's obviously going to be some room for disagreement here and there. But would you say that maybe different opinions maybe actually help enhance the Hammerhead sound in a way?
Yeah. I would say this is kind of the lucky thing about us three being brothers, and us only being a trio instead of like foursome or fivesome. Um, the if one person doesn't like a specific in the band doesn't like a specific part or song or idea, it's cut on the jam room floor, so to speak. It's done. We don't do it again. Like it's all three of us. I It's kind of tough to remember who comes up with the original idea because the only ideas that ever make it on the albums for us are when we're all three in the same room jamming. So it's just kind of a build off of each other thing. And then if one of us doesn't like it, it never gets played again. But if all three of us agree, which we usually do when something we kind of have the same musical tastes and brain, so to speak. When all three of us agree, it moves along. Like we expand upon it. So that's why I think it's like kind of lucky that we're brothers and that we all live in the same house, is because I can imagine bands that are just, buddies or friends having to make compromises that we don't have to make. Like one guy has his two songs that the other four guys don't like. They put them on the album anyway. That never has to happen with us because we all write in the same room. So it's a little different.
But you're ever worried because you say if one person doesn't like it, you cut it out on the jam floor originally. Is there ever a time where maybe you guys let it happen a little bit and see if you'd like it later before you cut it? That almost seems like a very bold thing to do, right?
Yes, that has happened, and the thing is, it hasn't worked really. We've let them go. There's a few ideas I can think of right now for the album we're writing currently that either me or Eli or Abe is like, yeah, I don't really like that, but we'll see how it goes. They usually don't make it anyway. Those ideas are usually just subpar, and we're kind of keeping it around just to keep an ego intact or something. But that you're usually not good. I'm waiting to be proven wrong though. Like all this might change. This is just our current process.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, I would certainly hope you guys continue to make music and grow and develop, because I think you guys starting off this young, who knows what the future would have in 10 years from now. I mean, I consider Nonetheless to be as classic. I call it a thrasher piece, and I maybe in the future I think I could see Hammerhead maybe writing a future Master of Puppets or Countdown to Extinction or something like that.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. We're kind of looking 10 years ahead too, because um, yeah, right now we don't think anything we've released, including Nonetheless, is by any means a perfect album. It's just kind of where we are at the time. So we kind of tell people, if you like one song, take that with you, and just kind of check us out when we drop albums. Check us out when we're in your city, and hopefully in the next 10 years we make the closest thing to a perfect Hammerhead album as possible.
And again, having that siblings, you guys are actually the second band of siblings I interviewed this week. I interviewed this band Liliac, who fantastic band consisting of five siblings. And back at Aftershock, I had the privilege of interviewing The Warning. I gotta say, that's got to be a tour happening, like the ultimate siblings band in a way, where it's like siblings only. Can you maybe see that happening?
That would be fun. That'd be fun. We're down to tour. Yeah, we're down to tour with them. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that happening.
Yep. And I can't remember if I asked this last time, so do forgive me. But do you think, because one of my favorite quotes I heard, and this was mentioned when Liliac played on CBS, that a family that rocks together stays together. And I really think that. Do you think that maybe there's an advantage, as you mentioned, of being siblings, where you're not just bounded by the camaraderie of a band, and you're not just bounded by the love for the music, but you're also bounded together by blood? I think that almost brings like another layer of metal in a way to your band.
Yeah, for sure. Like Exodus says. I agree. It doesn't seem like a coincidence that a lot of metal bands are, at least there's a portion of the band that's brothers, because it's just a lot. I mean, at least for us, a lot of times brothers have, or siblings just have, a perfect mashup of musical tastes and coherence that's just a little, I don't know, different from two friends who didn't grow up side by side or something like that. But yeah, we've always just found it lucky that all three of us can form a band just standing alone from anybody else. It's cool. We're lucky.
Did all three of you discover metal like at around the same time in a way, or did one of you guys introduce metal to everybody else?
We all discovered it. Our dad showed us Metallica, and we had been, he's a big classic rock blues fan, so we had listened to that growing up. And then around when I was 11 or 12, so 2011, he showed us Metallica, like Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and those albums, and then we pretty much just became addicted, all three of us, to that kind of music forever. And we've gone down the rabbit hole since then.
And a lot of people have Metallica as their gateway drug. Have you, throughout your personal metal journey, what have you sort of like discovered on your own in a way?
It went from Metallica, me personally, which is when I say me personally, me and Eli specifically have pretty much the exact same metal tastes. Not Abe, but he's less of a metal guy now than we are. But me and Eli have kind of gone down the, like, it was first Metallica, and then it was all of the 80s and 90s thrash bands, Exodus, Annihilator, all them. Um, and then after that, I'm trying to think. It was, I can't remember what it was in between. Like, there was a point where we discovered like newer thrash bands, Havoc and Warbringer in them, and then there was Gojira, Mastodon, Tool, Opeth. What's the other one I'm forgetting? Meshuggah. Meshuggah is the main one. Um, in like 2018 ish, and then from there, that's pretty much as far as we go metal wise. Those types of bands right now, at least. That's not to say we won't go further in the future, but that's pretty much the extent of our metal taste at the moment.
You guys will be black metal before you know it. I'll be seeing corpse
that's,
paint in the
that's
next.
what I'm told.
Yeah, I'll be seeing corpse paint in the next photo shoot.
Yeah, yeah.
Being both a singer and guitarist, do you like express yourself in the same manner as a vocalist and a guitarist? Do you like do they express sort of the same emotion and convey the same message, or does one express a different side of yourself as opposed to the other?
Hmm. Good question. I never thought about that actually. Um, I'd say the guitar. Well, this is another thing. I'm a. Everybody can probably tell this by listening to the music, but I'm a guitarist way first before vocalist. Always have been. Um, I'm not a good singer. I can sing notes. I'm not a good singer though, um, and I'm working on becoming a better yeller screamer. But I would say as I've gotten better, I think at singing, it's pretty similar to guitar, just because it's the same. It's the same music. I'm singing for the song, so it sort of just is the cherry on top of all the emotions, I guess, that are being conveyed within the song or the album that I'm singing for.
If you don't mind me asking, did was it kind of like a similar situation as like either Megadeth or Trivium, where like you originally weren't gonna be the singer, but you just like said fuck it, I'll be this singer, or you kind of got like forced into it in a way, or did you always kind of want to like
Yeah,
do the James Hetfield and kind of just learn that as you practice guitar?
both, because it still blows my mind, but it used to blow my mind what James specifically could do singing and playing wise. Like he's one of the best ever at that. And it was always kind of a challenge I wanted to undergo to become that good at like separating your vocals from your guitar in your brain. Almost like Geddy Lee, he's also insane at that. He can do like keys, vocals, and bass at the same time somehow. Um, so it was kind of just, I guess, assumed that I was going to be the one, because in our minds, Eli's not going to sing. He's the drummer. That's too much of a hassle. Abe was too young at the time, and didn't want to sing on stage. Although now he wants to, so that might change. But it was just kind of the default one. Yeah,
I think maybe if Abe were to join you, maybe that would take a little less pressure off, right?
it would for sure. It would. I think we're gonna go for that because it's at least harmonies. Like we're doing a lot of two-part harmonies now. There's a little bit on nonetheless, but on the next album there's gonna be a ton, and that would take a lot of the pressure off.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And you know what I've noticed is too with the Nonetheless album is that like every song in a way like had its own, it almost seemed to play by its own rules, because when you open up with Pioneer to Be and you have that 7.5 minute long song, but then you know you have Descent, which is sort of like a, I would, I don't know if it was the intention, but has that sort of interlude aspect to it being just, you
Yeah.
know, 43 minutes. And then, you know, you have a Synthesis part 1 and part 2, which every time there a song has multiple parts, I feel like it's very conceptually driven. So even though you were working on these songs for 8 months, did it almost feel like the making of every song was its own experience in a way? It wasn't like there was a formula that applied to the making of every single song on Nonetheless.
Yes. It's it was just a natural. It's almost like if I think back on each of the songs writing process, it's like a separate month that I can think of in my head. Um, Specifically, Pioneer to Be, the first song, that was the first song we wrote as well. So it kind of fit that it was the first song on the album. It sort of set the tone for the writing sessions going forward, with the groovier stuff, I guess the chunkier guitar tone from last time, weird time signatures and weird meters over four, um, all the themes that kind of musically are throughout the album. But yeah, I can definitely picture the sessions for like the month we were writing Synthesis 1 and 2, which was originally one song, but it felt like we should just take it apart. Um, I can picture us writing Fruition. Fruition took like 4 months. Fruition took forever because that one just was a weird one for us. Singing for the first time in three-part harmonies over it. Long intro. Um, Really kind of a weird time signature for the main riff. Yeah, now I'm thinking back on it. It's almost like 8 separate writing sessions. I can remember that.
Do you think if maybe like would you say that because they were written with a span of parts, did you almost feel like maybe you could in a way divide this album into like separate EPs, and like people would be able to tell, okay, these songs were written together at this time, those songs were written together at that particular time? Did you kind of, were you, are there elements that kind of make those different writing sessions stand out with each song?
Yes, I bet we could divide the last album into two EPs, based on what we were writing and what we were influenced by at the time of writing, like the first 4 songs versus the next four. Like, I can remember, okay, the first, in order, this is the songs we wrote. We wrote Pioneer to Be, then Fruition, then Richest Man in Town, which were all three weird ones for us. They're longer, they're slower, like generally speaking. Um, they've just got a lot of the same qualities, in my opinion. And then the next three were Tunnel, Nonetheless, and then Synthesis 1 through 1, 2. And then I'm trying to think. Yeah, basically, it's a lot of, it was chunks. You're right. It could have been different EPs, which is kind of what we might do that next album. Next release might be like 25 minutes, then another 25 minutes. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of bands have done that if they're making like a concept album. Like I know that's the band, completely different style, but the band Skamish, really cool like avant-garde band on Prosthetic, did that where like it was called Triangle, and it just had like three different parts, each playing by its own rules. And I think it's really cool how like a flow of an album could also add to the overall music of it too. Like it's one thing to have an album
Yeah,
full of good songs, but the way that each song leads into another, I think, also plays the role in how an amazing an album can be.
for sure. We totally agree,
Mm.
which is why we like making full albums. We've done one EP, and we've previously liked the idea of doing 40 full minutes or more of music at a time. But sometimes you just have like 25 minutes that can stand on its own, or that just speaks for itself, and a nice enough way to release it. So if that happens this time around, we'll do that.
Awesome. And I have one final question for you. And I rarely ever ask an artist what does the name of their band sort of mean. But the reason why I ask you is this: I never knew when I first heard the name Hammerhead. I thought it was actually a reference to the Spider-Man villain. In a way, because I've seen a lot of bands lately, especially, been taking like Marvel references to their sound.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I saw the album artwork for Nonetheless where you were referencing the shark, and I was just wondering if that particular shark in a way is almost representative of a spirit animal that represents the three of you as brothers in a way. Like, I mean, it sounds hard hitting. I mean, Hammerhead without a doubt sounds like a heavy metal band, but like, I almost feel like, is there sort of like a deeper meaning behind it? Does the Hammerhead shark almost represent like as a metaphor or something for you guys, or am I just completely overthinking the hell out of it?
I no, I don't. I wish it did. I don't want to disappoint anybody, but the name means next to nothing. The name. I personally came up with the name like in like 2014. We were called a few different things before this, and then we landed on Hammerhead for a few reasons. One is because I'm pretty sure that year I caught a hammerhead shark in the ocean, like fishing. It was small. It was small. It was like a tiny one, but we thought it looked cool and it sounded cool. And then I suggested, why don't we call the band Hammerhead, and then we'll spell it differently because like metal bands do that. Megadeth does that. They spell death DETH. A few other bands I can't think of off the top of my head do that. And also, when you look up Hammerhead HEDD on Spotify or the internet, it will come up with specifically our band. If you look up Hammerhead, just regular HEAD, it'll come up with a bunch of sharks. But it's kind of like, that was our thinking at the time. That it was purely that. And then with the Nonetheless album cover with the Hammerhead shark on it, that's just kind of a play on the name. We just thought that design was really cool, and we love the Jaws album art, like not out movie art. So that's kind of what that came about from.
And it's funny too. Like, I think a lot of people would like, if they search for you guys on Spotify or Apple Music and they saw the album artwork for Nonetheless, they would assume that that may be the first album because of how like direct that the
Yeah.
album artwork is. So I find that funny. The fact that you might have caught a hammerhead shark in the ocean, though, all these people who say that they're metal because, oh well, I burnt down the church, or well, I played cover. You just out metaled everybody if you caught a hammerhead shark on the boat. I'm glad
It was a
you're.
baby. It was a baby. It looked cool, but it was tiny.
I don't. Yeah, but it's still a damn shark. It could still rip you apart.
It
So
was cool. I was young. It was awesome.
yeah, you gotta like, I think, play now a gig in the ocean wherever you thought you captured that shark. You gotta like play like an anniversary gig there or something like that.
Oh, we'd totally be down for that. Absolutely.
Awesome. So before we go, I want to thank you again so much for coming back on the show. Great, thank you for part two, and of course, thank you for amazing new music. Just with the release of Nonetheless, what else could we be expecting from Hammerhead in the future?
Well, first and foremost, we're playing two shows that we have on the books. We have April 1st in Tulsa. We're playing a festival, and May 20th we're playing Welcome to Rockville in Daytona Beach, Florida. And then we'll be in I feel like every American city this summer. So we'll announce that soon enough. We're on a cool tour. And then immediately after that, we're trying to release new music because we got a lot of songs right now because of how long Nonetheless took to get out. We've been writing. So within the year, we want to release another album. That's the next move.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Hammerhead, part two with our interview. Thank you so much. We will see you next time on Heavy New York. Be sure to check out Nonetheless. Keep it metal.